Hey guys, I'm Mitch,
I'm Austin.
and this is Super Platinum Achievement, and we've got some drama going on in the gaming world right now, with some developers being mad at one particular console and pointing fingers. This all started with some recent news of the new Gotham Knights game be locked at 30 frames per second. So before we dive into that though, if you guys are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure to give us a big thumbs up at the end of this video if you liked it. Share with your friends and all that jazz. We really appreciate it. So, yeah, as I'm sure you've heard, Gotham Knights is locked in at 30 frames per second, even though they canceled the last generation of console releases. So it's just for the Series and the PS5 and PC. It's not coming out on PS4 or Xbox One, but it's still only getting 30 frames a second. And they came out and said that that's because it's such a large open world and you have untethered multiplayer, and they just couldn't get 60 frames to run smoothly while doing all that. Well, another dev has come out and given a reason as to why that might be the case. So, this isn't the first time this has happened, but this is probably the most major and the most outspoken of them. And that's Lee Devenald, who is with Rocksteady Games, who knows Batman games pretty well. They did the Arkham series, and they're currently working on the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Yes.
Well, he came out after all this news happened and said, I wish gamers understood what 60 frames a second meant, and in terms of what they lose to make the game run that fast, especially taking into account we have current gen consoles that aren't much better than the last gen ones. And then somebody went on to say, interesting, I'm generally wondering where this would be bottlenecked, so on and so forth. And he said the Series S GPU mostly. Multi-platform games always have to be optimized for the lowest performer. And then somebody else said, I mean, the Series X exists, which is much more powerful than the Xbox One, but yeah, ... And he said, but the Series S exists, and Microsoft won't let you launch one without the other. An entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. So, that was pretty funny. And since this, he's gotten so much hate from Xbox fans that he not only deleted the tweets, but he deleted his entire Twitter account because of the hate messages he was getting of fans supporting the Series S. But this was some controversy when the Series S was officially announced, because in terms of power, it's really not much more powerful than the One X, and in some aspects, it's actually less powerful. It's got less teraflops than the One X had.
It's all about the teraflops
GPUs,
too. You never know.
all about the flops. The GPU's slightly better, but it's not a true next-gen console. It's like a gen and a half.
Yeah,
and developers
it was a weird release,
and
I know we commented at the time too, because obviously Sony launched with two consoles, a digital edition and a regular edition, but they were the same internally. Whereas Xbox did something different. Instead of doing that, their digital edition was a massive scale down. Obviously, because they wanted to come in at a cheaper price point, but now they're paying for that because it's now preventing not even Xbox Series X gamers, but also PlayStation 5 owners as well, their games.
Yeah,
because the developers
punishing gamers for it.
It is kind of frustrating where we have to scale back everyone else because of one console in particular, and Xbox is stubborn and won't let them release a version that wouldn't work on that console, of course. So we're stuck in this weird pickle, and we're going to discuss what are some ramifications and possible outcomes of this situation. And I think our biggest one is developers are going to stop developing for Xbox.
Yeah, if Microsoft doesn't compromise and let developers do a Series X only version, then if developers get hurt by enough, because I mean, if that really is the issue with Gotham Knights, and if they could for Series X and PS5 make it run closer to 60 frames a second, and the Series S is what's holding them back in particular, this is going to hurt this game a lot. I've seen a lot of people say they're canceling their pre-orders and they're not going to get the game until it goes on major sale. or not going to get the game at all because of this. And I don't blame them. If you are buying a next-gen game for $70, you want it to be like a next-gen game and not like a last-gen game, which if running at 30 frames per second at this point is a last-gen game. Yeah, you're going to get 4K, but the frame rate is more important. Yeah,
and that's what I've come to the conclusion as well, is like playing these, this generation of games right now, the performance mode is always more important to me than the quality. Because regardless if you're playing on a nice TV, it's going to look good regardless. But it's, taking that 60 frames versus the 30 is a huge jump when it comes to gaming. And especially for a game like this where there's a lot going to be going on, and we depend on combos and fighting and stuff, you want it to be as smooth as possible, and having a clunky... Yeah. And it's not even guaranteed it's going to stay at 30. It could dip.
Now, if it truly is locked at 30 frames per second, and they're basically guaranteeing it won't dip below that, that's, okay, because 30 frames, it's not like 30 frames is bad. It's still very playable. There's still lots of games that you play at that. If you choose 4K mode, lots of games don't have the option to do 4K and 60, so people choose 4K with 30, and, that's fine. But 60, like we just said, 60 is way better, and I choose performance mode every day over quality mode.
Yeah, and especially on a game like this where, the frames are probably going to actually matter, at least a little bit, so... because all the movie parts. There's one thing if it's, a slower story-driven game, you probably can get away with just having 30 frames and a nice 4K picture, but in a multiplayer game, I just find an issue with that, to be honest. So that's a big bummer.
Yeah, so what's going to happen, if it hurts these developers enough in their reputation and their sales, it's very possible they could give Microsoft a ultimatum saying, hey, we're not going to bring these games over to Xbox if you're going to make us optimize it for the Series S. We're fine optimizing it for the X, and then maybe if you want to pay us a little bit more, we'll come out with another version for the Series S as well. Yeah. Kind of like what a lot of these developers are doing for the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is getting a lot of these bigger games, and they're coming to the Switch, but they're coming, 6 months to a year later so that they can be optimized for the less powerful system. Or make it cloud only. If it's really going to be held back that much, that's another thing Nintendo's doing. They're having these games come, but they're cloud versions only. Microsoft is very proud of their cloud right now. So if it's that great, then just say, hey, on the Series S, this game runs cloud only. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I just don't see any other way around this besides get kind of doing the ultimatum to Microsoft or giving them the boot. So it's kind of either or at this point, because I don't think the developer wants to, especially if it'd be one thing if it was just Xbox games and the PlayStation was fine, but no, it's all versions are being held back because of this one console. It'd be one thing if it was just the Xbox version is locked at 30 frames, but the PlayStation version is 60 frames. But then that'd be a different argument in itself, because then people would be complaining about that. But still, it's not a good situation. It's not good for gamers. Who maybe have been excited and waiting for this game, and then it's kind of not what they were wanting because of one weird thing that just needs to be changed, honestly. So,
yeah, and this isn't the first developer to say it. When the Series S, like we said, first launched, I can't remember which developer it was, but they basically said they are worried about future of gaming because the next 7 to 8 years might be held back by this very small upgrade of the Series S, and it's looking like that's starting to happen.
And we're still pretty early in this generation, and that can be a problem, especially down the road, because this generation, generations usually last about 7 years, so that's a problem.
Yes.
That's a big problem, and I think Xbox needs to address this, and they need to put the pride aside and get it fixed, and maybe be like, okay, we're going to make 2 versions. The Xbox Series S is just going to have to either do cloud, like we said, or they'll have to wait 6 months to a year for an optimized version of their game. So,
yeah, and the problem with that is then, once again, Xbox is going to look like liars, because when the Series S came out, they're like, it is a true next-gen console. You're going to get all the games on the Series S that you would on the Series X. So if they end up, backtracking on that, that's a whole other issue. That's going to cause lawsuits. They probably can't. So the most likely thing is the developers are going to have to be like, hey, listen, sorry, we're not going to hold back for the Series X.
If you don't let us do it for one console, you're not going to do it for either one. So,
yep.
And
so,
that's going to be a huge hit for Microsoft, and they, they're going through some issues right now with, obviously the Activision deal still hasn't been totally approved yet, so they're kind of still waiting on that, and I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes, if anything changes, or if games just continue to get held back by this one potato, as it was put.
I love that.
Potato. So, and we hate to sound like we're hating on Xbox, but they're just not making great choices lately, and they're not living up to their end of the bargain.
But the problem is the choices they've made are now affecting everyone, and that's where we have the issue. So, I mean, because, we both have, Mitch has both consoles, and even on his Series X and his PS5, it's the same. It's going to be the same game because it's brought down by the S. It's not like it's going to be different.
Yep.
So, and that's the issue that we're having here.
Yep.
Obviously, PC will be in its own world because they can do whatever they want over there. But, still,
PCs are always developed for separately for the most part anyway. So, but yeah, let us know what you guys think. Are you upset? Do you think that this is actually an issue, or do you think some of these developers are just kind of blowing smoke and not knowing what they're talking about? I doubt that's the case. They know better than most of us. Yeah. But we'd love to hear your opinions in the comments down below. We'd love to talk to you guys. If you like this video, make sure to give us a big thumbs up by smashing that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we sure hope to see you again soon on
Super Platinum Achievement.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.